Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse, aka BGFH, and I am back for yet another E3 2018 video. And holy crap, a lot of stuff to go through, so we're just going to basically dive right in. Kick back, grab a drink, whatever. A lot of stuff to think about, a lot of stuff to talk about, and the day isn't even over yet. Monday here, we started off with Square Enix, then we went to Ubisoft, watched those streams. Then we had the PC gaming show, which is just getting over as I'm recording this right now. And man, like I said, there's just so much stuff out there. It's ridiculous. So for those new to the channel, we are sitting in Minecraft here, which is actually where I started the original, where I started the channel. My first 3 videos was a tour of my old castle village, which we'll wander back to shortly. If you want to go check out, there's some really cool creations that I did early on in the channel, and then later on there is the Minecraft. I would check out the final Minecraft castle tour. I would check out the Minecraft co-op tour, which is where I show you all of my friend Jawbreaker's work. We're looking at 2 of them right there. And right there, really intricate, really cool stuff. And then my final Tower City, or Crater, what does I call it? Crater Lake, Crater City tour. So check those out if you want to see in depth all the work that went into this server. So we're just going to wander around, and you can look at all of these wonderful creations, and I'm going to talk some E3 stuff before the Sony conference comes up here in a little bit. So, starting off with Square Enix, what I will say right away is, for some people, if you're really into RPGs and stuff, you're going to like, a lot of what they had. But to me, I really didn't care for it. I was actually really underwhelmed, both in the types of games that they covered, and just the fact that there really wasn't anything, really, oh wow, that's totally new, that's totally surprising. You started out, you had things like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which we had seen before, I believe, at Microsoft's conference. It looks pretty good, but I played the first of the now new trilogy of the Tomb Raider games. I haven't finished it, but then there's, the other one that oh yeah, that's right, I forgot he built that. But there's the other games that the second game that I just literally picked up on sale not very long ago, just the other day, because it was 70% off, so I'm really behind on it, but it looks cool. The main thing that I really find interesting about Shadow of the Tomb Raider is that, as they're going on, like, they made this big deal in the first game of, like, oh, Lara is really, she was really reluctant to kill people and, like, has trouble killing one. And by the end of that game, she's, like, kind of a murdering machine. And then the footage that they showed, she's basically, like, Predator, like, ducking through the trees and just, like, savagely, like, gutting people and, like, roping them up in trees and, like, just killing dudes everywhere. Yeah, it looks fun, but it just looks interesting. It's really kind of funny how they started that series, and now she's just like this killing machine. Then we went on to Final Fantasy XIV. There's an expansion for that. I don't know anything about 14, because I'm just not really into Final Fantasy, so I just wanted to mention it, but it's there. Again, another RPG, Dragon Quest, another one of those things. I'm not sure if this is like a traditional turn-based or if they're kind of putting more real-time stuff into it, but I will say the art style was kind of cool, actually. It was sort of this... it was really bright colors. There was some... I don't even know what you would call it, but it had this really neat animated art style. Really enjoyed it, I'm kind of curious to see what it's going to become. So there is that. The Dragon Quest game, and then there is Babylon's Fall. There was not much really shown about this, but it kind of seems to be Square Enix's take on like a Bayonetta kind of game, where you got this just crazy, over-the-top, like, kind of combat things, which could be interesting. I'm intrigued to see where this is going to go because, you know, hey, I'm all for good action games. Yeah, if you want more detail on this crazy, weird, sacrificial hedge maze or hedge place here, garden, go check out the video. I'm not going to describe it here, but I'll give you some incentive to see just what in the heck might be going on in this weird place. Anyway, yeah, so Babylon's Fall. That was probably the highlight of the show for me. What do we got here? Near Automata, or Automata, you know, I don't know how people say it. I mean, I just kind of, you know, laugh at it. I have to play it. Everyone raves about how good it is. It's kind of this action RPG with like all kinds of ending, like 3 or 4 different endings. Like you play through it as the main character, then you play through it again 2 or 3 more times, and you get actually layered bits of the story that actually kind of seem really neat. Again, it's just one of those games, it's just a massive time sink, so I don't know when I'm going to get around to playing it. It is now on Xbox One in addition to PC and PS4. I don't remember if I own it yet on Steam or not. I can't even remember at this point. Octopath Traveler is this RPG, again, Square Enix being massively into role-playing games. That's the Nintendo Switch game. I'm sure we're going to hear more about it tomorrow. The art style looks interesting, but again, I'm just not really into the whole turn-based RPG thing, so I think that's kind of what it is. Like I said, visually it looks interesting, but it's probably one of those games I'm not really going to look into too much. Just Cause 4. This was shown a few times today. We saw it here, and then we saw it later at the PC Gaming Show. Again, I talked about it yesterday in Microsoft's thingy. So it's, you know, it's made its rounds. We've seen some different footage of it. It's this third-person kind of action game. You have this wingsuit. You have this grappling hook, and you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. The main thing with this Just Cause 4 is that you not only do you have those tools, but there's supposed to be some more like weather effects and everything, and there's like this ginormous tornado that apparently can actually physically wreck things in the environment, and you can fly around it in your wingsuit and, like, I don't know, grapple stuff near it, and then the tornado will just kind of unleash its fury. It looks kind of like all kinds of dumb fun. Really looking forward to checking that out, and especially since, like I said, I haven't even finished Far Cry, or I haven't even started Just Cause 3 yet. I own it. I played part of 2. 1 was too janky. I just couldn't get into 1. 2 was kind of cool. From what little I've played, I really wanted to play more of 3. But there you go. Just Cause 4. That's coming out in December this year, early December. Kind of like how Just Cause 3 did last year, or the year before. Can't even remember. Okay. Well, yeah, actually there was a couple things that were kind of highlighted there. There was a game I mentioned earlier that I was kind of into, that Bayonetta kind of game. But The Quiet Man, I don't know what the hell this is. They did this short trailer thing. I don't know if it's supposed to be like an action game, like an adventure sort of a thing, or exactly what the heck is going on. It seemed like it was part like live action, and then it went into the game itself. I'm really not sure, but it looked kind of weird, and I'm guessing that's, you know, it looks like it's probably going to be like a PlayStation 4, possibly a PC thing. We don't know much of anything about it, but it looked really weird. They showed an extended look at Kingdom Hearts 3, same trailer as they did at Microsoft's event, except just extended. I have no clue what's going on in that game. It's Disney, it's Final Fantasy, the plot makes no sense, and from what I've gathered, even people who have played a lot of the core Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 games still don't really quite understand the plot, so that's just basically what I'm going to leave it as. If you're into it, you know you're into it. Cool. And that was pretty much Square Enix. It was really short. They finished it in like a half an hour. Again, there just wasn't really anything really surprising, really anything. I mean, I kind of watched it and went, really? Okay, I guess. I mean, not to say that there weren't some good games in there, but some of the genres I'm just not into as much. and others I'm just like, yeah, okay, we knew about it already, and we'll see how they go. Then we went on to Ubisoft. They started with this weird little like band and dancey thing coming on. They are showing their just, they didn't say a word about it. They just basically finished their dance routine. Said, oh yeah, basically we're doing another Just Dance thing, which they release pretty much every year. Just kind of this rhythm game for all kinds of platforms. I don't really know much about it. Don't really care. But like I said, they're a consistent seller, so people are buying them. I don't know. We have. Oh yes, Beyond Good and Evil 2. I don't know again, this is something I played the original Beyond Good and Evil. That was like an original PS2 Xbox era game, kind of like a Legend of Zelda Light, like an Ocarina of Time Light. You play this girl named Jade, and you had these companions. One of them was like this weird pig dude. What the heck? Oh man, what was his name? Paige. And then you had this, like, I think there's like a robot guy, and I don't even remember really the plot, but she was like some photographer thing. And they showed, like last year, they showed this just bizarre, like M-rated talking animals going in, like just nuts kind of a thing, going nuts. And then this year they showed a little bit more kind of like story stuff, showed a little bit more about Paige, and they left it off with like this like really like this younger, really pissed off looking version of Jade. So she is in the game apparently. I don't know if you play her. I don't know who you play. No idea what's going on there, but they've shown little. They really haven't shown any gameplay. I guess there's going to be some behind closed doors like demo of something at E3 later this week, but I don't know. I am very curious. I am looking forward to it as a person who really liked the first game quite a bit. I'm intrigued, but it's freaking weird right now. Oh, let's see. Oh, right. Yeah. So the other thing in regards to Beyond Good and Evil 2, they're partnering with this Just Hit Record or something. I've never heard of it, this organization. Basically, they're making the core game, but they want to actually have other fans. They're almost like crowdsourcing a lot of their content for their open world game. So people can create music, art, in-game items, and then I guess if they get chosen, then they'll be put into the game. I don't know if they're going to be compensated financially for it. I've heard rumors that they've done other projects for like I don't know what all they've done, but I guess it's a reputable thing. It's been around for a few years, and so they're working on using that basically to again crowdsource a lot of their probably just to fill out their open world is my guess is what they're trying to do for that. So I don't know, could be interesting. Interesting to see where that goes. Rainbow Six Siege, they're talking about extra content for that. The game has actually gotten a lot better. Rainbow Six, of course, is a first-person shooter franchise that's been around since like the mid to late 90s. I love the idea behind it, but it's really more tactical. It's not your run and gun, Doom, Quake. It's like, you're using tactics, you're using just all kinds of different things. And my villagers here are going nuts. Apparently, I've got a gazillion of them around here. That's but it's a series I've really wanted to like, but its realism just really kept me away from it, and especially as the games went on. Like again, I talked a little bit about this yesterday. The graphic fidelity of a lot of these modern games, like especially when you're focused on a game where one shot, one kill, you basically get hit by a bullet, and realistically you're dead. So if you can't really see where your enemies are sniping from or shooting from or whatever, it's going to be kind of a miserable time for you. So again, the game looks really good. It looks really cool. It looks fun in a way, but I just don't think it's really something that I'm going to really get into largely because of my vision, and I just don't know if I'm gonna, I just don't know if I want to really even devote all that much time to get into something that I don't think is going to work too well. But there's no, there's more new content coming out for that. So if you're into that sort of a thing, there you go. What else do we got? We got Rainbow Six Siege, Trials Rising. I got to cover the Trials games to some degree. I haven't covered those on the channel yet. There was this, it started out with, I don't even know where the original Trials was, but Trials 2 originally came to Steam, and then they went to like Trials Revolution and Evolution or something, or there's all kinds of stuff. It's a 2D, like, side-scrolling, like a motorcycle obstacle course game that it starts out where you're just catching a bunch of air and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. But as you go, the levels get so sadistically hard, and just navigating and surviving the level becomes like this exercise in futility, and like it's really cool, it's really fun. But I suck, and I usually get to a point where I'm like, fuck this game is cool, but no, I just don't have the, I don't know, the skills, the dexterity, the whatever. I don't have that to play those games. So, I mean, I'll give it a shot, I might give it a shot. That's supposed to come out early next year. A lot of these games are actually coming out like early next year. There's tons of games that are supposed to be coming out in like February, so this year it almost seems like the new trend is like February or so is the new holiday season. It just seems kind of like that's what's going on. Let's see, what else do we have? So we got Trials. Okay, we got some more footage. We saw some at Microsoft. We saw some more Division 2. Again, this is a good place to bring it up, actually. The thing that I really don't like about, especially this year's E3, they were good about it, I think, the last year or two, but like this year they're kind of going back again, and there's a bit more talking, and then there's a lot more like cinematic trailers, like story trailers, or just kind of like, oh, conceptual, here's what we're going for. But these are games, they're not movies. Like, you can have some dialogue, you can have some, CG stuff, but like, I genuinely want to see game footage. I want to see in-game, what does a little bit of gameplay snippet look like? If I can see that, what is, as I'm playing, what do the graphics look like when I'm actually playing? What does the HUD look like? Am I going to be able to see to play this? That kind of a thing. So a lot of these titles that they've shown off in these different conferences are really showing a lot more of this, like I said, pre-rendered crap, which looked good, don't get me wrong. I mean, some of it's just beautiful looking, but again, these are games. I want to see the game part of them. So yeah, more Division 2. Mario and Rabbids. Oh yes, that's something I haven't checked out yet. I haven't got that for the Switch yet, but it's kind of this turn-based strategy thing that you never thought would work, but a lot of people were raving about it a lot last year. And very soon, forget exactly when, but they're coming out with basically the Donkey Kong expansion. So you're going to get like Donkey Kong, some of his buddies, and some of the Rabbid forms. This is a new, just a sidetrack, this is like a little temple thing that I was kind of messing around with. I had some old structure here that was just a bunch of weird cluttered stuff, and so I'm sort of turning it. This is a project that I'm kind of started to work on but haven't done much with. I'm adapting it into some sort of like, I don't know, water temple looking thing. So yeah, I don't know, it looks kind of cool anyway. But yeah, so we get a new DLC expansion for that. Skull and Crossbones. This is a pirate themed game, naturally. They showed some kind of combination of, again, CG and kind of in-game play, sort of. It still looked more like CG than the actual gameplay, but I'm not quite sure. Again, the game looks pretty cool, but I don't know if it's going to be one of those things that I want to play that much, because it's really focused on like the ship ship-to-ship combat of being a pirate, which, you know, of course, you're a pirate, you're fighting with ships, makes perfect sense. But I like the, you know, kind of on foot style, like, you know, okay, I'm going to be part of the ship, but I'm actually going to, you know, like, try to raid, you know, go and explore. You know, I'll have sailing be part of the journey, but like, I want to explore the islands, find buried treasures, you know, fight people with swords and flintlock pistols or whatever they are. You know, I want to do that kind of a thing. So it's more of like Sea of Thieves kind of thing if they would integrate more story stuff into that. But yeah, so I was going to say Skullgirls. Skull and Bones, that's coming out later. But that's your ship-to-ship combat game. It looks good. I'm just not sure if I'm into it so much. Transference. This is really weird. I don't know exactly what all platforms this is coming to, but it's like a horror first-person game. It's coming to VR, actually, which sounds really cool. But I guess it's like the premise of like you are entering somebody's mind and like seeing their darkest memories or something. So like they showed this kid who I kind of get a feeling is in a not so good, some kind of like really messed up relationship. His father's like gone insane, gone off the deep end or something. I don't know what's going on with him. But they showed this little teaser of that, and I'm hoping that does come to the Rift. I really, really do hope that it does come to the Rift, because I would like to play that. Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. Starlink. This is a game that's been around for a couple of years now. It's one of these last, like, Toys to Life sort of games. You know, you had the Lego Dimensions and Skylanders and things. Well, this is like some like space combat thing. There's all these factions and stuff, and you're getting these little spaceship attachments for your Switch controller. So this is a Switch game, and well, you can play it on, I guess, all the modern systems, but they did a nice little partnership with Nintendo, and Miyamoto actually came on the stage for a couple of minutes, which was kind of fun to see. But yeah, they are in the Switch version. Star Fox and crew are going to be an exclusive faction in that version of the game. So I don't know, like I'm not sold on getting all these Toys to Life thing. I just don't have the room. Like, trust me, if I was going to do anything, would you stop it? It would be the Legos, because A, I like Legos, and B, they're just hitting like all the right nostalgia of like, I like that franchise. Yeah, I want that franchise. It's like 80s and 90s heaven of like nostalgia. So, I mean, the concept of this is neat, you know, especially if you like space combat, which I think can be interesting. But again, it's not one of those genres that I'm actually that into and that I'm that good at. So, but, you know, the Star Fox partnership was kind of cool. I like that. Okay, I talked about Star Fox. For Honor, that's a game that's already out, but you can basically go get a trial from the Uplay website. You can try it for, I think, like a week or so, free. Yeah. Oh no, you get the free. You can get the free starters pack, so you can get basically the free like core game to keep. And then you can buy your extra DLC, you know, your other packs as you get into it, if you get into it more. So, I don't know, I might have to try to take a look at that if I remember. What do we got here? Oh yeah, The Crew 2, that's actually coming out very soon, like sometime this month. And The Crew 2 is like a racing game. It's like an open world racing game. The Crew 1, I think I might have picked up dirt cheap on Steam a while back. Haven't played it yet. From what I heard, actually the driving in it is not, or at least in the first game, wasn't super great. So like the open world stuff might have been okay, but this is, yeah, the driving itself wasn't so good. Well, this one, they're like, okay, you can drive, but then you can go on boats, you can go on planes, all kinds of stuff there. So that's coming out soon. Not quite sure what that's going to be like, but hey, you know, if you want to check that out, you will be able to do so quite soonish. And I think we're getting close to the end of this conference. Oh yes, the it was leaked, but they did the official unveiling of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which actually takes place in Greece. And so, like, they had the Egypt one last year, which kind of looks interesting. Again, I've talked very briefly about the Assassin's Creed games before. I tried the first one, really didn't like it at all. I know the other ones, they made the gameplay better. I know people try to say, like, try Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and then, you know, kind of maybe skip to, especially the last year's games. Honestly, last year's game, the thing I'm most interested in is not really so much the game itself, but then they added this, and I think it's supposed to be like a separate DLC if you just want that content. There's actually like there's a non-combat, like, educational version. So, like, if I just want to learn about Egypt, walk around and see some stuff, learn some facts and history, I could do that and just kind of walk around. And that's something I'm actually rather intrigued about. And if I do get that, I might actually kind of try to cover that on the channel, because that's a really nice, really fun, interactive way to learn some historical stuff. And I don't know if they're going to do that in this next one as well, since they started in the other one. It wouldn't surprise me if we maybe get some, either at launch or thereafter, you know, get some historical DLC for Greece as well. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it looks cool. I mean, the games look beautiful. It's just I don't know that I would be super good at them, but I got to give them a shot one of these days. Again, the pile of shame, I'm going to be suffocated here. I should be suffocated by all this stuff here pretty soon. Sadly, you know, everyone was really thinking that there would be like a Splinter Cell game unveiling, because they had some content for one of the other Tom Clancy games earlier this year, a couple months ago. But as of now, we haven't seen anything. Nothing at Microsoft, which they've really partnered with in the past, and nothing at Ubisoft either. So I guess we don't get more Sam Fisher, which is a bummer, because, well, I showed you Splinter Cell Conviction. I haven't shown you the Chaos Theory, but to me, Chaos Theory and Conviction were frickin' great. I love those games. And I would like to see what a new Splinter Cell, especially with the original voice actor back, because to me, he is Sam Fisher. He just sounds so good. He just embodies that character so well. So then we go into the PC gaming show. They've had this for the past couple of years. I'm just gonna very briefly talk about some games. They mentioned a whole bunch of them, actually several that I haven't heard of before. We saw a little bit of footage. The first one is this Satisfactory. It's kind of this pun. It seems to be like this first person, like, usually you have these games where you're building all kinds of, like, infrastructure and stuff like that. You're doing this via like an overhead or isometric kind of game. And no, this is actually going to be done in first person. So I don't know. This is something that I think Jawbreaker would super get into, because he loves, like, we're in Minecraft right now. He loves the logistics and, building machines and, like, all that kind of stuff. Like, we've done a couple of mods that, he's just super got into. I tried and didn't mind so much, but, like, I just want to, I want to build cool things, like buildings, but I don't like the, again, I don't like the logistic stuff of it. Like, oh, okay, I gotta build this to build that, and then I got to use this contraption and that contraption to do this. I don't super get into that kind of style, but this is something that I think he would get into quite a bit, and no, there's nothing wrong with that. And, hey, it looks kind of interesting. Forgotten City. This one is, like I said, the problem is going to be remembering, because they just rattled off game after game after game in this thing. The Forgotten City was again, I think it was like another first-person game that looked really interesting, kind of like story based, but it seemed like there might be some like combat or stuff in there. Oh, is that the one where like the story bit was that if somebody like no one could basically commit a crime, otherwise everybody else would pay for it or something like that. Either way, the trailer looked interesting. I would like to learn more about it. Star Control Origins. This one was kind of interesting, actually. I mean, I don't normally get into these kind of games, but if I was going to try one, this one might be one that I would try. It's again this really huge open space game where when I was seeing the footage of it, and then I heard the developer talk about it for a couple of minutes, what it kind of seemed to me is like a more fleshed out, story based, kind of cartoony, which isn't a bad thing, but like it's more of a story based, focused, but hugely expansive No Man's Sky kind of a game, like where you have just tons of these planets that you can go to. You can do space battles, against other players, but then you can land on planets, and I don't know what the extent of what you can do on the planet, but it seemed like there might be a little bit more to do. You might actually interact with, like, they actually had speaking characters that you would meet with. Like I said, that's where the kind of the cartoony story stuff came into play. And that's sort of what intrigued me. Like, if you could meet all these kind of weird aliens and see what these different factions wanted and different things like that. So that, I don't know, that could be kind of fun. Not usually my cup of tea, but like I said, if anything, that might be one I would be willing to give a shot. Oh, yes. Hunt Showdown. This is another game that I've heard a little bit about off and on for the last year or two, and I don't believe it's out yet. This is a game where, again, it's really multiplayer focused, which, again, I don't have a lot of people to play with, but it sounds intriguing. Basically, you have these little teams in this open environment, and you are tracking down some kind of beast thing, and like each team is trying to kill the creature, get the bounty, that kind of a thing. But then, like, as you find the creature, you find little clues to find out where the creature is randomly in the map. And once you start fighting it, well, then everyone else can kind of hear the gunfire and the attacks and whatever is going on, and they can either come in and try to destroy you while you're trying to fight the beast, or maybe they wait till you destroy it and then try to, like, okay, now they're probably like, oh, well, you're wounded, so yeah, maybe let's just swoop in and try to kill you before after you kill the beast, you have to get away. You have to actually escape to earn your reward. So it's kind of got that like cooperative competition-esque thing going on. Could be kind of neat. I don't know if it's something that I'm going to be able to get into, but I'm intrigued. Archangel Hellfire. I have not released the video for it, but I have recorded a VR video for Archangel. Archangel, the original version, I really wanted to like it because it looks cool. The story, I mean, like the characters, I like, the dialogue and stuff in it. Basically, the story, it was, you're going with your son to work, like you work with these big mechs, and you're letting your son watch as you're going through your initial training. The base gets attacked, presumably your son dies, and like you're just going off on revenge. So you're basically taking this mech and you're just destroying the enemy, that kind of a thing. And again, like visually it looks cool. It feels really badass to be in this mech. Problem is, I had some visual problems, especially, like, oh yeah, other mechs would be fine, but like, with the distance, in VR, and like fighting smaller like soldiers and things, I couldn't see to target them very well, and so I actually had a bit of trouble getting very far in that game. But they're doing a multiplayer. That's what this Hellfire thing is. It's a multiplayer version of it, so you can basically build up your mech and like fight other people, which might be actually kind of interesting, because at least if you're fighting other mechs, hey, I can see those big things. I might actually be able to see something and hit them, assuming I can maneuver the way I'm supposed to. So yeah, I don't know. That could be interesting. We'll see. Oh, okay. The Sunken City. That is. It sounds cool, but again, this is something that I'm probably not gonna play. But it probably is right up other people's alleys. It's a third-person game, not really focused on combat, but it's there is like ways to defend yourself. But it's primarily a detective game. So you're in this open-world city, and the thing that they really stressed during the demo of this title was that you're not going to be getting like hints. That we're not going to put little shinies to show you what's interactable. We're not really going to guide you. It's really up to you to go through the environment. Talk to the other characters, examine the environment, look for clues, piece all that kind of stuff together. And it sounds cool in theory, but I just know this type of game, for me anyway, the dialogue stuff might be okay, but all the visual, like detective visual finding, clue finding stuff, I know I'm going to have trouble. Like I'll overlook some stuff. That's almost a guarantee. There's been other games that have had detective elements, and even when it has, some of the shiny here, there's something interactable to work with. Like I've still overlooked things before. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it sounds cool, but I don't think it's going to be maybe something up my alley. Warframe. This is another mech game that's kind of been out for several years, but they've been just adding and adding and adding. And I seriously debated getting into this game a couple of months ago. I started watching some YouTube videos. It's a free-to-play game on Steam, and you can buy, different packs and different things. I mean, the model doesn't seem too terribly, like, you can play, you can grind, you can do stuff. Like, so it's not really too bad. But it's they call these mechs warframes, and there's like some single player story stuff, there's multiplayer, but the action, the mech stuff, it all sounds cool to me. But then I look at it and go, everything it seems so overwhelming. Being that the game has been out for so long already, and they've added so much to it. Like, I just feel like, even though I've watched some beginner videos on like where and how to get started, I just feel like I'm overwhelmed, and like, God, there's so much other crap I gotta play, I gotta read, I gotta do, I gotta, just in general, that I'm like, do I even have time to try to parse my way through figuring this monstrosity of a game out, even though it's free? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I would love. I mean, and it's a fact. It's not like a slow lumbering mech game. Like, I've seen it. These warframes are actually pretty dang mobile, and some you can have guns, you can have like swords, or like these melee things. There's all kinds of stuff. So I mean, it kind of looks to be sort of right up my alley. There's just so much to it that I don't know. I just don't know if I'm really going to be able to commit to a game like that right now. Shenmue 1 and 2 are coming out later this year. I don't have a date. I don't know. The Steam page is live. I've added it to my wish list, so I will be informed immediately if I don't find out before then. Shenmue 2, or 1 and 2, are coming to Steam before Shenmue 3 hits next year, so huzzah! I'm finally going to be able to play those again, especially the first game. it, you know, yes, it has its jank, it has its problems. The English voice acting is laughably bad, but there's a charm to it. You know, it was doing things really ahead of its time. It was really doing things before other games even attempted like an open world thing like this. Now, here is the thing that really caught my attention. There's a little reel of a whole bunch of games that I didn't even get to see all of, but they talked about a bunch of games that were coming from Sega. And one of them was Yakuza 0. Now, I know I've mentioned it on Twitter, but I don't know if I've ever really mentioned it on my channel. Yakuza is a long-running series. The first game was, I think, on the PlayStation 2, which had English voice acting, but ever since the first game kind of flopped in the US, it's become kind of a niche title. And ever since then, none of the games have had English dubbed. There's no English voice acting, so it's all Japanese audio. You get English subtitles, but then, you know what, that's kind of really unfortunate, because again, if the subtitles are too quick or they're small or a combination, I won't be able to read it. But the problem with these Yakuza games, I really want to play them. Let me get a quick drink of water really fast. Hold on just a second. Hold that thought. There we go, much better. Sorry about that. But Yakuza, I mean, the Yakuza games are basically like when we went from Shenmue 1 and 2, and then Shenmue went silent for many years until they showed it at Sony's press briefing a few years ago. But the Yakuza games really seem to pick up exactly what Shenmue was, but actually kind of make it better in a lot of ways, because you were exploring these Japanese towns and areas and things. There was a lot of, like, it was melee combat. I don't remember if I think there's some gun combat, but that's not really what it was really meant for. It was mainly melee focused. And with all kinds of side activities, again, just like you had in Shenmue. Shenmue 1 and 2 were so ahead of their time. So here, I already put my call out onto Twitter after learning that Yakuza 0 was coming to PC. If anyone, I don't know what engine this thing is using, but like, if anyone can do a mod, a patch, an add-on, a Unity, Unreal, whatever the hell engine this thing is using, if somebody can figure out a hack or some sort of intercept so that I can run my screen reader and have whatever text is being outputted, especially like subtitles, if I could have that text output to my screen reader a la Skullgirls, I would be extremely happy if I could be able to play these games finally, because it's not just the fighting, like, I want to play the story too. I want to experience that, but again, all this Japanese, I don't know Japanese and audio, and the language, and I would have to, there's just way too much of it to learn just to play a couple video games. God, man, yeah, if somebody could do like what they did for Skullgirls, that fighting game where they basically made the screen reader just work with everything, even if it just worked with the subtitles, don't bother with the menus, just anything that is qualified as a subtitle, make it screen reader, make it go out to the screen reader. I would be ecstatic if that kind of thing were to happen on the PC side. I know it probably never will, but the moment I say, like I said, I never thought the Xbox dashboard or other consoles would have accessibility features. I never thought Madden or something like Skullgirls would happen. So, I mean, yes, I think the odds are low that this would happen, but I would like to maybe think that, maybe if somebody hears this in the community, maybe Mr. Hamilton knows somebody, like I said, he hears my tweet, and, I don't know, somebody gets forwarded something, and I don't know. Maybe it can. Maybe it could happen. I don't know, but I really would like to play those Yakuza games. I really would. So enough about that. Let's keep going down this monster list of PC titles here. Other Sega games. I told you about that. Yeah, Killing Floor 2. That is another game that I really, really need to play more. I think I did a video for it. I can't even remember. I know I was going to, but I think I did. But it's a crazy like first-person zombie game that, you fight in waves, and then you have to run to a store and restock, and then survive as long as you can. And I didn't really like the first one that much, but Killing Floor 2 kind of like that's something that I really, again, as they've added so much to it over time, that's something that I really need to sit down and like try to play more, because what I did play of it, if I could just get into it again, I think I would actually quite enjoy it, because what little bit I played, I did enjoy. They also, that publisher, they were talking with this publisher developer thing or whatever. They're doing some other stuff. They're helping some other companies. Road Redemption. Now that game you should know if you follow my channel. I've covered it in early access a couple times. I've covered the main version. I've used it as a backdrop for some of my events and updates videos. It is your spiritual successor to Road Rash. You're basically your motorcycle combat game that is fun as hell. And apparently they're getting, they're getting some help on not only making their PC game even better, but they are bringing it hopefully to other consoles and systems as well. I would totally be down for a Switch port of that if I could play that, because I think the Switch could run that pretty well. I think that could work. Yeah, Road Redemption, that could be pretty awesome. Oh God, yes. Okay, this one came out of nowhere, and I am intrigued. There was some other crappy game I think that Giant Bomb covered a few years ago that was sort of this, but it just didn't look good. But there's a game called Man-Eater that's coming out. I don't know, but it's coming out sometime. And it's a shark RPG, or the guy, he called it like a Sharpg, or it's kind of dumb, but basically this 3D environment, like there's this it's like in the southern US, I think, somewhere, and you play this shark, and your whole thing is like you're trying to like terrorize the vacationers and like just eat people and crash boats and just, I don't know, cause all kinds of destruction and mayhem and like eat people. And you know what, the trailer, you just have to watch the trailer because it looks really dumb, but in a really, really good way. This is a title that I definitely want to learn more about. This could be good. Man-Eater. Play as the shark. Yeah. Overwhelmed. This is a game that is out now. They just announced, but it's out now. I looked it up on Steam. It looks neat, but I don't know if I really want to pick it up. I don't know. It's a 2D action game, but the twist, here's the interesting twist. So, like, it's kind of, you play, it's this 2D action game, but you're playing one hit, if you get hit once, you're dead. 3 hits, you're dead. You're, game over, and your run is over. You're playing through these levels. You are trying to defeat bosses. Here's the catch. Most games, you are powering up yourself. So you beat a boss. Oh, cool, I get a new ability. Or something like that. This game, no. The better you do, or when you defeat bosses, the enemies get upgrades. So it's like, okay, you're doing well. In order to survive, they get stronger. So then you have to fight all the harder in order to survive. So I don't know. I mean, it sounds really punishing. I mean, the premise sounds intriguing. The art style, and it's kind of got this like pixel art sort of style to it, which I know is kind of overdone nowadays, but I thought it looked kind of neat. Oh shit, no, don't fall down there. Uh-oh. Okay, let's get out of here. Okay, that's right, I forgot he ripped up the floor. He's doing all kinds of weird, I don't know what he's doing with this, this middle area, Jawbreaker, but, yeah, I want to like it. I don't know. I think it's going to be one of those, like, I might try, and then I'll not get very far, and I'll just get frustrated and never play it again. Let's see. Stormland. Oh yeah, this is that Oculus VR title. They're actually developing an Oculus open world VR title where you're like this robot that's trying to go down to this planet and repair itself, and you're meeting like other robots or something. And they're doing it so, like, you know, you're basically floating over, you know, like you're using your jetpack or your jets to, you know, fly right over the ground. So they're trying to tackle, like, free motion. You know, supposedly you're not going to have to teleport, but they're using the mechanic of being a robot type thing, you know, so that you can freely move. So, like, you know, the part of the thing with movement in VR, what makes people motion sick, is just the fact that, you know, you are walking in the game, but you're not in real life. But, you know, unlike a flat screen game, it actually kind of matters. But if you're in like a mech or a vehicle or, you know, aircraft, you know, then it doesn't really matter. Then people can handle it. It seems like they can handle that a little bit easier. So yeah, I'm kind of intrigued as to what that could be. Night Call. I don't remember what that was. Again, they flew through so many titles that I can't even keep them straight. It was a third or first person game that looked fairly interesting. I can't honestly remember. Oh, that was... Okay, I have a note here. This taxi driver detective kind of game. I don't really know what the gameplay is like. But, yeah, it looked kind of interesting. Another game called Sable, S-A-B-L-E. Again, really open world is the theme. You know, you thought that Battle Royale would be. There was a few, especially in the PC show, there was a few Battle Royale games mentioned, but it wasn't quite as bad as I was afraid it would be. You know, like I said, right away in EA they mentioned a Battle Royale mode. There's been a couple mentions here and there in other conferences, especially the PC one. Honestly, I think the main two themes of this year's E3 is open world and post-apocalypse, or open world / dystopia kind of a thing, because it's like everything is after a nuclear fallout, or after some like world catastrophe, or some war, or like Division 2 after all the craziness that happened over in like the DC area. Yeah, I mean, it's open world and like apocalypse kind of stuff. Those are the two major themes I'm getting out of this year. But this Sable I'm very intrigued about, because it's this open world exploration game. They said it's not focused on combat at all. It's just more about exploring, maybe learning some of the story. It had this really nice animated, like really kind of hard-lined art style to it that I really enjoyed. And it kind of reminded me, it gave me a Journey vibe. That's a game that I have not been able to cover just because I can't cover PS4 games or PS3 games. I played Journey on the PlayStation 3 a few years ago. Gorgeous, beautiful game. Very, very nice looking. Just a fun exploration game. A really neat kind of game mechanic, especially when you find out what happens, sort of like how things went through. You kind of learn about, oh, this is what happened at the end, or this is, I'm not going to mention it anymore here because we're talking about other stuff, but this, just the art style and the, you know, like the non-focus, the non-combat focus gameplay just really kind of reminded me of that, and that's a good thing. Star Citizen, I don't even know what this game is anymore. Star Citizen has been in development for God knows how many years, at least 5, probably 10, I don't know at this point. It's this crazy big space game. You can actually buy your way in, like you actually buy ships with real money. And when I say real money, I'm not saying, oh, you can buy a ship for, you know, $10. People have literally spent like tens of thousands of dollars on this game, like thousands of dollars. I can't even remember. I don't remember what the most expensive Star Citizen ship is, but I think it's literally like, you know, 20, 30, 50. I mean, it's literally some obscene amount of money, and the people who are into this are like just super into it. And it kind of reminds me of like an EVE Online kind of a thing, where it's like, you know, you have this actual real economy and like factions and fights, and there was supposed to be like, you know, if you didn't want to fly, you could be like the soldiers that would do the ground thing. I don't even know if that's happening anymore. I thought at one point I had heard that was getting, like, they were going to do that, but then they walked it back. I don't even know if that's happening, but like, essentially Star Citizen, it's a beautiful looking space game that God only knows what form it's in right now. I don't even know when the version 1.0 is coming out, but this game is, just look it up online. You read about it, watch some videos about it. It's freaking nuts. Let's see. Yeah. Another Don't Starve expansion. That's kind of a unique little survival, kind of a really artistic style game. I think I picked it up dirt cheap on sale, but I haven't actually played it yet. Surprise, surprise. But there's the Don't Starve, and then there's Don't Starve Together, which, you know, you can play the single player, or you can do like a multiplayer online survival kind of a thing. But there's new content for that out. Genesis Alpha 1. I have no frickin' clue what this game is, other than when I saw some gameplay footage of it, it looked kind of cool, and I sort of want to know what it is now. Genesis Alpha 1, it appears to be some kind of a first-person shooter. I don't know if it's just multiplayer-based. I don't know if it's single-player-based. I don't know, but I don't know, it looked kind of fun. So probably when I get a spare chance in the next little while, I might look up some YouTube videos or some stuff about it myself, because I don't know much about it, but I want to learn more. Yeah. Genesis Alpha 1. Again, they covered Just Cause 4. They talked about, you know, the tornado stuff. I'm not going to talk more about that because I've already done so. Overkill's The Walking Dead. Now, this is not the Telltale series. This is not the point-and-click adventure game. This is an upcoming cooperative first-person shooter that I really want to be good, because apparently there was another first-person shooter Walking Dead game, and I don't remember even what it was called. But that one was supposedly garbage. But this one actually looks like it has some potential. Again, you know, if it's some sort of like a Left 4 Dead-esque. The guys that made, I think they made like Payday and a couple of other multiplayer series, and so that gives me hope, because, yeah, I mean, I've played Payday 1. I've played that actually a fair bit. I think I played a little bit of Payday 2, but I never got into it all that much yet. But yeah, if that's the case, I may be interested in looking at Overkill's The Walking Dead. They did talk also about The Walking Dead, the final season. I have not done any videos for the Walking Dead Telltale series. I don't know, I probably should at some point. the first season of The Walking Dead was still one of my favorite just gaming experiences in the last decade. Jawbreaker and I each played it. And even like in that series, like you played this Lee guy that was taking care of this little girl, Clementine. You joined up with this group of people, and man, some shit happens in that game. You got to make some really tough decisions. And by tough decisions, I mean any choice that you make is like often horrible. And the ending of season 1, literally, I got to admit, the ending of season 1 kind of almost brought me to tears a little bit. Like, I felt real bad at the end of season 1. Yeah, the way that season ended was pretty brutal. And you, like I said, you cared for the people. You cared for Lee and Clementine at the end of that season. I started season 2, I played like the first episode and a half or so, and then you started playing as Clementine. It was neat, but it was just, it didn't grab me the way that season 1 did. It really didn't grab me. And so there's season 3 as well. I don't know anything about that. I actually watched some of season 2 on YouTube, so I kind of know what happened there. But yeah, I guess they're doing the final season. It's going to be out later this year. May have to look into that because I would be curious to see how that overall story arc ends. What else do we got? Noita? I think that was that 2D, it's like a 2D pixel, like a magic game. You're some dude with a wand, and like even though it's like a simple 2D art style, I guess all the pixels are like actually physics rendered, so like, you're blasting things apart, and like the environment reacts. You're trying to like survive and get through areas and take out enemies and things like that. I don't know, it looked neat. We're almost done here, guys, I promise. 2 Point Hospital. This is kind of a spiritual successor to Theme Hospital. It's kind of like another management sim, and this time you're actually, again, you're managing a hospital, just like you would. There was like that Prison Architect where you were managing a prison, or all these other types of simulation type of games. It looked kind of neat. I just don't know if it's something that I would really play. Ooblets. This is kind of a, I don't know, like a Pokemon-esque game. They kind of combined it. They kind of said it was like a Pokemon Harvest Moon-esque thing. I don't know. I'm not sure that I'm super interested in it. Anno 1800. The Anno series has been it's been on Steam a long time. This is some kind of a real-time strategy, mainly like focused on like city building and naval combat kind of a thing. I've never got into it. It's just like one of those, there's all these really deep systems, and like probably a lot of stats and stats and other things to read, and tons of text, and so I just it doesn't probably seem really right up my alley. But yeah, so a lot of stuff on the PC gaming show. Yeah, we got only a couple more games here. Oh god, yeah, this is another battle royale game, but this one actually looked, you got to look up the trailer for this one because this one was funny. Rapture Rejects. So the whole premise, there's a few things that make this game. There's a few games that make this, or few things that make this game unique. First off, it's an overhead. It's not actually first or third person. It's like an overhead, over the top, crazy, battle royale game. So that's one part that's unique. Just the overhead style, which I wonder how that would actually work, because then you can actually see more of like, oh, you can see there's a guy way over there or whatever. But the trailer itself, so the whole premise is like, oh, you're this, this innocent little guy, he's going to go to bed and he's praying like, oh, if the rapture comes, just, bring me to heaven, and I want to be up there with you, God. And he goes to bed, and then the rapture actually happens. He sees all these people getting beamed up to heaven. He's standing looking out his window, and he is not getting beamed up. Everybody else is like beamed up. Somebody's like, help me, because he's like in the house and he can't suck, so he shoves him out the window, and then like, okay, the other guy gets beamed up. Well, he doesn't. So he just basically said, you know what, fuck it, and that's really literally what he says. Fuck it. Down some alcohol, grabs a weapon, and then boom, it goes on to like the gameplay. So it's just kind of got this really tongue-in-cheek, really funny, just weird, cartoony art style to it. Yeah, at least for a battle royale, it distinguishes itself from a lot of the other types of very similar-esque games that are out there. Finally, last game, I promise, Hitman 2. This is a game, again, they did this Hitman. The Hitman's been a franchise forever. I tried the first 1 and 2, and I sucked at it, because back then it was literally, there was one or two ways to do things. Like, you had to do it the way, and then otherwise it was just, that's what you get. But the last couple of them, like Hitman Blood Money, I know people really loved. There was one, I forget what the one after that was. Some people didn't like it. Like Hitman purists didn't like it, but I think I would, because it was, the way the gameplay was focused, I think it would work better for like the way I like to play games. And then a couple years ago, last year, the year before, they did this, they kind of rebooted the Hitman series, and they just called it Hitman, but they made it an episodic game where they would release like a map each month or two, but then they would update it with like all these, like, basically there was this huge environment with a bunch of people. You would have these regular missions, you'd have these timed, time-specific missions where, like, during this week, you can try to kill this guy in a certain other way, or you can try to find this other random character that's on this map, see if you can take him or her out, and, find out all kinds of weird ways that you can do it. And, those, actually, I've seen some videos. I really want to go back and watch all the Giant Bomb did a really, like, I watched a couple episodes and they were fun to watch. There's some Hitman videos that Giant Bomb did, where a couple guys were going through and just trying to go through all of the episodes of that. Now, apparently this Hitman 2 is not going to be episodic. They're just releasing a full game, but it's going to be, a lot more of that type of thing. So, like I said, it's, as long as it's not, like instant death, if you get discovered, you can try to run away and hide. You're trying to get other disguises. And it's not like, oh, I'm just going to go in and shoot somebody. Literally you're going in and, like, causing these weird things to happen to people. Like, oh, if somebody's going to be doing some sort of presentation or some sort of thing, maybe you'll make a chandelier fall on their head. Maybe you'll poison them. Maybe you'll get somebody electrocuted. Maybe you will just go in, wait for them to go into their private dressing room and, like, beat them over the head and, or slice their throat or whatever, and then try to walk out nonchalantly, whatever. But there's all kinds of, like, it is really entertaining. It's a game that I love to watch other people play, because they're better at it than I am. There's so many ways to go about doing all these executions. That is a very fun game to watch. I'm not really sure how good I would be at it, but again, adding to the pile of shame, this is one of those games that I really should try to get around to playing, especially the last maybe 1 or 2 Hitmans before Hitman 2 comes out. So that is the first 3 conferences of today. We have 2 left. We have Sony this evening, and we have Nintendo tomorrow, late tomorrow morning, I think, or early afternoon. So I'm probably going to do one more video tomorrow after both of those, but I literally could not I could not wait any longer because, like I said, I barely could remember all the games I kind of wrote down here in all these. Some of these I still couldn't even remember what the hell they were. So, I mean, what I will say, how would I rate them? Square Enix was pretty meh. I would say Square Enix and EA were definitely the weakest of the bunch so far. Really didn't do anything for me, either one. Ubisoft was okay. There was some good games in there, but I didn't really care for some of their presentation style. I thought it didn't really come off super well. The Miyamoto thing was kind of neat. That was, you know, pretty authentic. But the PC gaming show, you know, again, some of these people, they do the pre-show stuff, or they try to do, you know, cutting between the different hosts and things during the actual show. It comes off as really bad, like really just kind of cheesy. You know, it's like, oh, we're gonna try to be funny. Like, you know what? Just don't try to be funny. Just, you know, kind of, you know, you don't have to be super serious, but some of the bad jokes, you know, it's just not very good. But it wasn't bad. I learned about quite a few games I didn't know about. A couple that I really want to check into more. Like, what was that? Something Alpha. Let me look at my list here. It were called Genesis Alpha 1. Yes, Genesis Alpha 1. I would like to learn more about what that game is. And like I said, some of the other stuff, that shark game looks pretty just stupid and fun. But yeah, I would say PC game is probably the third best so far. Boy, Microsoft or Bethesda. I would say Microsoft and Bethesda were both really good. Yesterday was a solid day for press conferences. PC was okay. The other two were pretty fairly weak. So you know what? It is just like 2 minutes to 8, which means I gotta go. We're gonna wrap up the video here because I gotta go watch Sony. So you know what? I will talk to you guys again tomorrow for one more bonus video. And then I'm going to take a break. I'm going to not record these for a little while. Thank God I got some stuff queued up, because I've been on a machine lately. And what I will say really quickly, that joke gag trailer that I showed you guys last night during the Bethesda thing, turns out there is an Alexa skill for it, and you will see a video for that in the fairly near future. I recorded it this morning. The Elder Scrolls very special edition is actually a thing, and it's okay. So follow me on Twitter at BGFH79. Follow me on Mixer, mixer.com/BGFH. Like the video, subscribe, tell other people. I'd really like to get other, if anyone, you know of anyone who can maybe try to make Yakuza on PC accessible, that would be fantastic. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you're not getting too overwhelmed by all the content lately, but hope you guys are enjoying it. Follow me on all those places, and until next time, I will chat with you guys again later.